Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Croup Manor, which I suppose is how you're supposed to pronounce it. I neglected this settlement for a long time because I found it to be finicky, but this has turned into my favorite settlement build to date. I just had so much fun with it, and many thanks to the clever modders out there who made the mods that I used that allowed me to enjoy this build. Without some of the mods that I used, which are all linked in the description of this video, I couldn't have done what I wanted to do, and this would have been no fun. So, let me give you a tour of Croup Manor, and I'll start with the defenses. And this is such a nice settlement because there are only 2 spawn points. And I used my settlement mod to discover them. One is right there. That's a spawn point. So all the way down from that hillside there's a spawn point. And the other is way far afield. Way over here. Right there. So if you've ever wondered why sometimes you've gotten a warning saying that Croup Manor is under attack, and you find super mutants fighting your provisioners down here, or the Brotherhood of Steel or something, that's why. The spawn point is way down there. Now the good news about these spawn locations is it allows you to focus your firepower all at the front. With other settlements where you've got spawn points for enemies all around, or sometimes even inside the settlement, you've got to jerry-rig the way your settlement is set up so that basically the entire perimeter is covered. But with this, you can focus all of your firepower out here. So I've got 3 primary stands. I've got these 2 stands right here, each with at least 1 missile turret and a heavy laser turret. And a spotlight, I've got 3 different guard stations, each with an assigned settler. And then I've got this final 3rd turret system set up over there. And that's all the defense I need. That pretty much does everything. Now, coming around the corner here, there is this statue area. Now, in the past, I've used this area as an elevated platform upon which to place all my missile turrets, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to push my turret systems out further, away from the center of the settlement, pointing towards the actual enemy spawn points, which is going to make them more efficient, and it's going to reduce the chance of them harming my resources with area of effect damage. So then I had this free, and I decided to put a Minuteman statue. At least I think that's like George Washington or something. I don't know. It's some sort of Revolutionary War statue. So I placed that on top of there. And I've got wiring and my electricity wired all the way around the perimeter, around this direction. And I'll show you where my generators are. But first, let me show you my farm. So I've got 72 carrots, as is typical with my settlements. And I have them planted inside the Wasteland Workshop garden plots. The plots that came with Wasteland Workshop. And I have them elevated on this platform to keep them flat. If you don't elevate them on a platform, then they look like they're floating. And the reason I did that is because the land that this settlement comes with is fairly minimal. And it doesn't look like it would be good for farming anyway. You see the back of this house is just on this rocky outcrop, and I'll show you the borders of the settlement. It ends right there, so really your options are to just fill this sand with a bunch of carrots, which is what I used to have, or find something else. And so what I did is I created this elevated platform, and I just turned that into my farm. Now my engine room, what I did for the engine room is I created this engine room on these stilts, and I had to use a mod in order to attach these stilts to the bottom of this metal hallway. And then I ran the wiring through a broken door to all of my generators on the inside, and then I piped the electricity throughout the entire facility using pylons. Now I wanted this to be as unobtrusive as possible, so I mean I could have put it on the very flat roof up there, or way out in the back, but I didn't want to put it out the back because that would have ruined my view. Look at these nice windows here that look out of the house, and you have a fairly nice view. I decided to use these water pumps that come with Wasteland Workshop. Each one of these generates 10 water, so I figure all I need is 3 plus a few pumps to get all of the water I need, and they're powered by my sunken engine room over here.
You hear about that farm run by ghouls?
So let's go to the marketplace right quick. Here's my marketplace. It has the same layout as some of my traditional marketplaces, instead of the aisle-like layout. But I tried to organize it so that vendors can reach the back very easily, so they have plenty of room to walk around back here. I find that if you don't do that, then they get stuck and they don't stand behind their assigned stall. It just gets really obnoxious. And then I also made the platform that the marketplace is on fairly large, so that I can have a bar right there and seating areas for assigned settlers to walk around and sit down and drink their drinks and so forth. Okay, now for a tour of the actual house. The house came with these two lamps. The only problem is that the lamps that came with this house do not glow. But Wasteland Workshop came with 2 lamps that do glow. So I scrapped those lamps and I replaced them with the ones that glow. Now entering here, let's close this door for now, just so that you can see. So this is the primary entrance. Entering here, and here's the inside of the house. Now the entire inside of this house was completely destroyed, including many of the walls. And I used a mod to fix all of the holes in the wall with wooden shack walls. And I used the mod to basically push them inside the wall to cover up these spaces. And it was with great satisfaction that I did this, because you can tell here, you see that beam right there? That's part of the original wall. And that denoted that a door was supposed to go here. So I was basically able to recreate the way that this was supposed to look, the inside of this was supposed to look. And it was really fun kind of discovering how the layout of this house was meant to be, even though it was destroyed. So I did manage to get a working door on the inside here. The one thing that does confuse me is that there's obviously a broken wall here, which I filled, but there's also a broken wall here. And if I had fixed that and that, then the front door, you would have opened it up and you just walk into a box with no way out. And I didn't think it would have made sense to have a door here and a door there, or a door here so that I would go around, so I just left this open. So going on inside, this is the lounge area. Again, I had to completely patch up that wall right there in order to make this a sealed off lounge area. And here's the beautiful view. Now if I had had a farm down out here with carrots everywhere, where it would have been ugly, or if I had put that elevated generator room out there, it would have been ugly. But you can actually see my Kingsport Lighthouse all the way from the window inside Croup Manor, which is pretty cool. I've got the TV, but of course there's no television in this post-apocalyptic wasteland, so I've got a radio here, and I imagine that the settlers come in here like the good old days of the jukebox, sit down, listen to the radio, play some checkers, read some magazines, lounge around in that little entertainment area. This floor is my green floor. I'm using green rugs for the majority of the floors, and I'm using this floor has a variety of different paintings, not a whole lot. And then I decided to turn this room into the kitchen. Sadly, I couldn't put a snapping door in this door frame. This door frame was original. I didn't place it there, but when I tried to put a door in there, it wouldn't snap. And of course, if the door doesn't snap, it doesn't work. So I sadly couldn't put a door in here, but I decided to take this entire room and turn it into the kitchen. Note that this was a hole in the ceiling, and I patched that hole in the ceiling. So I've got a chemistry station over here. I figured this area would be a great chemist lab. I've got a sink, a stove, a table with kitchen utensils and a variety of kitchen goods, a working cooking stove right there, and then I've got a table filled with all of their silverware and food, and then like sort of like a breakfast table, or maybe it's a servant. Maybe this table was for the servants to eat at back in the day or something. And a fridge that sadly doesn't work. And then over here I've just got organized food that looks good. And really, there's plasma cartridges in there? I guess the cabinets randomly fill with junk. Or ammo, if you have scrapper. Okay, so that's the west side of the house. So going through this door, we go into the rest of the green room. And this is the primary dining room. I imagine this being like wow, this is filled with ammo too. Cool. I imagine this being a curio cabinet with fine china and stuff in there. But I couldn't actually find any fine china in the world to decorate this with, so I didn't really do anything with that. I've got a railroad flag up here and just plates set down for now. And these all lead outside, which is really nice. It's just a nice, windy house. I find myself admiring the layout of this house. I'm thinking like, wow, I could live in a house like this in real life. This shape. Now let's go downstairs real quick because I want to show you what this looks like. So if you've played the game, you know where this basement goes. It zones out of the house, so you can't actually craft anything in the basement. But there is the door to the basement. And I didn't want to run electricity down here because I didn't want to have running wires throughout the house. All of these lights are powered through the sort of area of effect ambient light that the nodes on the outside give. So for example, these things right there, I've wired it all along the outside, and these things seep power through the walls, which is why the lights work.
Yes.
Anyway, but I didn't want to wire everything down here, and their area of effect power didn't work down here, so I put candles. I put candles down here. This is my 3 scrap stations. My settlers come down here to scrap stuff. I've got shelves filled with ammunition and goodies, and this is basically just a little nook for utility stuff and scrapping. Now, I do want to show you one thing real quick. This fancy wall light came with Wasteland Workshop, but this settlement came with a fancy wall light installed. But as you can see, it's broken, and it can't be scrapped, so it doesn't work. But I wanted it to work, so what I did is I placed a fancy wall light from Wasteland Workshop on the wall, and sadly when you go up too far, it turns red. But using my mod, I was able to make it clip on top of the old one precisely. And if I hadn't shown that to you, you would have never looked at this and gone, oh, there's some sort of weird clipping thing going on there. There are many that I did that with. This is another one that I did that with, I think. Yep, that's another one that I did that with. So I went around and I just replaced the ones that looked kind of that were broken, that didn't work, with ones that actually did. Alright, let's move on up to the red room. This floor is the red floor, and as you can see, it's a nice loungy sort of place. So, I've got this entire wall was completely blown out. You can see that from here all the way to that corner, it was just completely missing. And so, what I did is I patched the entire thing with first this wall that has a door in it, so that I could place a screen door in it, and then a variety of different walls, and I pushed stuff up. I did a lot of messing about to kind of get this to work. And then this is the canopy to the workshop area below, and it had a huge hole in it right there. And as you can see, I've patched it up with some corrugated iron shacking, roof shack. And then here's going to be, I figured it would be a smoking station. I've got some airplane seats with an ashtray, a cigarette in there, cigarette machine, and then a pile of cigarettes and cigars. So this will be a nice little smoking nook. Incidentally, if you place cigarette machines in your settlements, they spawn cigarettes inside of them over time, which sell for a pretty decent amount of money. Now this, I turned into a bathroom, and this room was completely blown out. As you can see, this is the only solid original wall right there. Oh, and there's another lamp. Tell you what, let's fix that right now, and I'll show you how I did it. So, you go to electricity, lights. A few lights that did not come with this game, but then a few that do, including the fancy wall light. Oh, but it's not lit. Hold on. Oh, there it is. It is lit. So this is the fancy wall light that came with Wasteland Workshop. I'm going to kind of try and match it up as close as I can. Then I'm going to use my mod and console commands to get it in there precise. And bingo, look at that. You would have never even known that there's another one clipping it. Anyway, so I turned this little shack into the bathroom. I had to completely replace that wall and replace that wall in order for it to be private, you know, like a bathroom should. And so I just put a toilet and a tub in there with a couple of brooms, and that's where my creativity ended. I couldn't think of anything else to do with it. So, and I figured this is going to be an office / work area with maybe a little bit of a lounge. I've got all of my sort of fine art on this floor, regal paintings. This lamp, incidentally, came with the manor, and it's unique. You can't build it. There's no mod that allows you to make it, to my knowledge. You can't build it with the regular workshop. It doesn't come with Wasteland Workshop, and yet it is powered. See, you can see that the light on the inside is turned on if you have a power conduit nearby. And I wanted to keep it, but the trouble is that you can't actually move it. You see how the outline of it is yellow, so you can't do anything with it other than scrap it. But I didn't want to ruin it, so I leave it there. But I should probably move this. You know, that way the light is not directly in front of it. There we go. So over here we've got our library with a variety of bookshelves. I used a mod to fill these bookshelves, and then a variety of different trophies and mounts, deathclaw hands, so on and so forth. 2 different couches. All of this is regular with Fallout, nothing special. This lamp right here that lights up, that's with Wasteland Workshop, and so are some of these unique ones, these unique mounted heads. And then here's my desktop workstation. This filled coffee cup comes from a mod. Everything else is just vanilla items in the game that I used OC Decorator to place on the floor. Now, walking in here, we come upon our first bedroom. And as is typical with my settlements, I crowd all of my settlers into sleeping bags because my charisma is high, so my settlements attract a lot of settlers, and that's the only way that I can each get them a bed is if I use sleeping bags. But that's okay because I spent some time on this one. I gave them a nice place. So here we go. They've got some floor coverings and some nice lights. These, by the way, were broken, and I fixed them using that trick I just showed you. But, yeah, I was trying to select them again. There you go. See? It was broken, and it doesn't light up. But when I install that on it, it does. So, a nice picture of Boston 2017, which I really love this painting, by the way. It's one of my favorite that I think you can build. Put that on the wall, sleeping bags on the floor, and just a nice little sitting area. And then I've got my terminal, the wire going out this window, which is perfect because it works. And I use this terminal to use my settlement management software, which is the tool I use to mark attack spawn points. I'm going to go ahead and unmark them. There we go. Alright, so that's bedroom number 1. Let's head upstairs and check out bedroom number 2. So, going upstairs, we get to the top floor, and Minuteman flag. Close that for now. And I imagine this room, I had a hard time deciding what this was going to be, but I imagine that this room is sort of like a communal storage / clothing area. So if you go into the second bedroom here, this is like the master suite or something. And you see that if I have all the beds here and try to avoid all of the trash on the floor, like you can't scrap these wood shards. You can't move them, which is silly because if you really were, you know, trying to found this settlement, you would just pick up the wood and cast it out the window. But anyway, you can't scrap it. So I put down rugs where I felt it was appropriate, and I put the beds only on top of the rugs, trying to avoid the scrap. And I turned this into just, you know, there's a chest of drawers here with seating and then paintings all the way around. I wanted this room to be sort of natural with nature scenes that made people happy. And but I realized that there's not enough changing space. You can't store all of your clothes and all of the doodads that you just collect as a human being. So I added just some more storage in here, a couple more places to sit, and another full shelf. By the way, oh, is that not powered? Oh, it is. That's just a glitch. Sometimes that happens. By the way, the reason I chose those is because of this. So when I got the settlement, it came with this fan. As you can see, the roof was completely holed up, and I had to patch it up in order to get it to work. But the settlement came with this fan, which doesn't power up, it doesn't work, and you can't remove it. You can't even remove it with console commands. I tried to mark for delete to get rid of it, and you can't even select it. But that does tell me that this house originally was designed to work with fans. So I found the fan, which you've been able to create since vanilla, since the release of Fallout, and I used those as the primary ceiling light for the settlement. Anyway, so normally when you walk into this room, half of this floor is gone, and I've covered it up mostly. But what we're standing on right now was open air. But I have fixed the floor and making this room usable. I also fixed this wall and this roof. You can see the holes in the roof, which I had to fix with the mod, and then this entire wall stretching from there to there was completely blown out. So I put in a wall with the door opening, and I patched that wall, and I discovered that the door frame was a little slightly higher than the floor, so I had to put in some steps. Which, now that I've patched the roof of the room directly below with the fans, this is now a nice open seating area. And I imagine that people... Oh wow, it got dark fast. I imagine that people will use this to have a nice breakfast out here on the patio. Here's a coffee station with some coffee set out and some drinks. And I've even got a grill. A grill with some Brahmin meat on there. And here's a small smoking station. There's an ashtray and a cigarette machine. So that's it. That is my Croup Manor. It turned out into one of my favorite builds so far. I love how the ability to clean it up and patch the walls and roofs turned it into an actual functional home. And I love how my settlers are actually using it, and using it as intended. Although they are crowding around out here, and I don't know why. They're supposed to be crowding around here. Okay, we got some people crowding around over here by the bar. I'm not sure why they're all crowding around over here. Anyway, so there it is. That's my Croup Manor. I had a lot of fun with that. I'm actually kind of jealous because I'm not using it as my player home. My player home is the lighthouse, but now that I've completed it and it turned out so well, I kind of wish I would have used it for my own settlement. But anyway, these guys are going to have a great time living here in this fake fantasy video game world. So there you go. That's my Croup Manor. Thank you all for watching this efficiency settlement build. Oh, but you know what? I should probably show you my stats first, huh? Hard to call it an efficiency settlement build if I never actually show you my stats. So of the 36 people that I made this to be able to accommodate, I've got 32 of them. So this is slowly growing into a pretty... It's going to be a large settlement when it's done. And then I've got perfect numbers all down the board. 36 food, perfect 36 water, perfect just enough power to power my defense. This settlement does get attacked a lot. I've had to come here quite often. So I made sure that it has pretty wholesome defense there. And then exactly 36 beds. I believe the happiness target for this settlement is 35. So once it finishes getting all of the happiness that it's going to be earning since I started working at it, it will end at 35. Anyway, that's an efficiency build of Croup Manor. Thanks for watching.